coverage. Israel at war. That coverage continues right now. The State Department just confirming within the last half hour that 9 Americans have been killed in the surprise Hamas attack over the weekend. And by the way, this comes as Israel vows to destroy the militant group. And right now, that means cutting off access to food, cutting off access to fuel, electricity to those living in Gaza. You're seeing some images here from over the weekend of those bombings, those missile strikes. For more on how else the Israeli military might respond and is responding, we're now joined by retired U.S. Air Force Special Operations Commander Major Glenn Ignazio. Major, it's good to have you on the show, sir. We've seen Israel conduct military operations in Gaza before. But now that this is a full-blown war, how will this response be different from past Israeli operations in the territory?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. It's going to be different because of the scale and the intensity of the particular fighting. I believe already there's been about 1,000 airstrikes within Gaza. And people have to remember Gaza is only about 25 miles by 6 or 7 miles wide. So it's a very small area. And the intensity is going to be exactly that because I believe the initiative, or at least the initiative for Israel, is to take care of Hamas and eliminate them once and for all. So this is a whole different warfare, whole different engagement, not small, but much, much invasive.
Yeah, and to your point, it's such a small place, but it's so densely populated, 2+ million people who live in Gaza. The other thing I wanted to ask you, sir, the world holds Israel to a much higher standard than Hamas about avoiding civilian casualties. Will the IDF take extra precautions or show additional restraint to avoid that kind of collateral damage during this war, or no?
Well, I think they, of course, are going to do the best that they can to eliminate collateral damage. But I'll tell you is that, Israel's always been, their hands have sort of been slapped in the past because they've always been preemptive in their strikes and they've always been criticized of being too heavy-handed. Now, that's what the international community said. Now, Israel and what they have faced in this brutal attack, those are completely off right now. Israel's going on full intensity to take care of this threat. So they're going to do the best they can to minimize collateral damage. But I believe they're going to do it as intensely as possible to make sure that Hamas is impacted greatly.
This was a major intelligence failure by the Israelis, and even the United States saying just last week that the Middle East has never been more quiet. How does Israel navigate and balance fighting the war while also figuring out what went wrong? I mean, will the Israeli government try to figure out what happened even as the war wages on, or is that saved for another day?
Well, this is the way we would look at it. And I'm sure Israel is the same thing, is that with the particular engagements that are happening and the warfare is to make sure that whatever was not working or whatever failed is not failing right now. If it was sensors, if it was systems, if it was people, whatever it is, to make sure that the engagements that they have right now are pristine and perfect. As far as looking back to find out what happened and what broke down in detail, I think that'll be a later time. As long as their engagements are, again, taken care of appropriately and nothing that failed or was overlooked is impacting current operations that are going on right now. Yeah. That's the critical point.
They certainly have a full plate of looking back and also how to move forward right now and protect their own people. Major Glenn Ignazio, thank you so much for your time.